I'm hoping most of you got to read the email. What's really important is the last sentence and question, if you will. That's what we're going to be looking at today. But I want to explain a little bit about what I was referring to here. And this is a phenomenon called groupthink. And groupthink is something that we're all subject to. And it's the ideology that, I teach meditation, the cobbler down the street fixes my shoes, the grocer provides my groceries, and it's our opportunity to fall just lazily into the makings that all these other things are taken care of, and we don't have to worry about them. That they work autonomously in their own to serve us, and we take them somewhat for granted because we just assume they're there and we need them. And then we don't have to exercise many skills outside of our general theme, which can render us a little bit vulnerable if things go sideways for some reason. We end up with an earthquake, or we end up with something, and we now don't have a lot of these services and what have you. But to go a step further in groupthink, we can just fall into categories. And I kind of am hitting on a tough spot today that's going on in the world at large, that there is much division going on. There's much groupthink happening. And I always love to think that we're developing our divine selves through our own being, our own light, and really projecting out our soul spirit, which can rub up against groupthink sometimes. And in that development, we can find ourselves in judgments, because in order to take a stand, we're going to possibly judge the other side and have thought processes about that may or may not serve us. And in that, it can be, it's what we want to do is we want to observe if you're holding judgments. And I'm not saying in and around a large theme. This could be simply a situation you find yourself with a family member or a friend that's maybe small on the onset, but you're having judgments. You're throwing judgments in your mind during the day at this person because you might be upset, you don't agree, whatever it is. For instance, I'll give you one, this is more in the public sector, Tennessee school board decided that they wanted to ban books on the Holocaust, to just delete history. And, MoveOn's working on this because for some reason they feel, like many of us do, that may not be a very cool thing to do. And if you go in history and look, when they banned books, we were in a communist regime. So there's something really important about this that you may or may not agree with. And then in the thought forms, the judgments start coming up. You're either judging the school, or you're judging history, or you're judging something. But the idea is to recognize where the mind's going, and then to recognize how we feel holding our thought forms. So there isn't a right or wrong. There is not. But understanding in the way of meditating and observing how we hold our thoughts, how they serve us vibrationally or not. And can some of them in our judgments that have maybe diminished our energy or kept us down, could they be reframed in a more loving way, whereby you can still hold your viewpoint, but you may not have to have such diminishing energy from the thought form? I hope you understand this. So I just want you guys initially to just sit quietly and see if there isn't a default judgment you go to every day, and you find yourself maybe in conversation a lot having this. Maybe it's about our government, maybe it's about a political figure, maybe it's about the way, the society's handling something. Maybe it is a family member that keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And I just want you to take a few moments as we begin our meditation and just notice the judgment and the default, because it's an important factor. And then we're going to just see what we can notice about how it's in our energy form and what it does for our overall energy. And then maybe we can reframe it. We can hold them, this situation, this place, in a different way, which still honors our power, still honors our individuality, but doesn't diminish us in any way. So with that, let's sit. Just I know that was kind of heavy, so let's take a few deep breaths and blow it out. Breathe in And just let your shoulders go, let your hips ground. Breathe in. And so as you just sit here, breathing in and breathing out in Ujjayi breath, and you just kind of notice your body for a second, does anything come to the surface of your mind that is a way in which you default into a judgment? And you'll mostly notice this because there might be some struggle in the emotional centers when you default to this, either in a laughing way that you're hiding something, or in a really felt way where each time you say this, there's a charge behind it. And just notice. And just kind of acknowledge it. Just be like, okay, this is what I do. I struggle with these people. I struggle with this person. I don't see what they see. I don't understand how they come to their conclusions. Yeah, just breathe in, breathe out. Stay present with it. Let them be before you, whether it's a group or a whole, just one individual. And if you can look into their eyes, whether it be groups or an individual. And just take a moment to acknowledge them and say, I want to judge you because I don't fully understand you. I want to judge you because I don't fully understand you. And just notice how you feel when you say that. Might you share with me what is really going on with you deep down? Might you share with me what's really going on with you deep down? So I might better understand where you're coming from. And just wait, just listen. And you still may not agree, and that's okay. And then let them know that I'm no longer going to allow my energy to be diminished by your viewpoint. I'll acknowledge it. But my spirit can't be held down. My light spirit will continue to move in the earth in my divine connection. And in that, I may be able to one day fully embrace you. Or I may just have to walk around you and past you and move on. And just see how that feels in your body. And maybe you see yourself fully embracing or walking around and beyond. Maybe that's what you just see yourself doing. But as you walk beyond where you said that you've got this cloak of judgment on you, and you're just gonna take the cloak off. You're going to unwrap it at the neck or unbutton it or whatever it is, and you're just going to let it drop. You're going to let it drop to the floor so that you can be here in your full divine light before these individuals, before you walk away, and just allow yourself to let go of the judgment. Liberate yourself to be free, to rise above this madness, rise above these feelings and judgments. Or if you're embracing them, take the cloak off as well and embrace them. Love them as you love yourself. And then we're going to reframe this experience. However you need to, in order to honor what's been arising in you. I see you, I love you, I accept you. Or I see you, I love myself, and I move on. Or whatever comes to mind in the way of reframing. Breathing in and breathing out. So just notice your light body. It's always there. It's always brilliantly lit below the cloak of judgment. And then let's sit up tall and allow ourselves to re-nourish this light body that just worked really beautifully to reframe some of this heavier energy we carry around, to release ourselves of this judgment that we keep holding. That we might say underneath our breath, but we're coming to terms with it. We're coming to its reality, that it's in us, might be running a bit of us in a groupthink kind of way, and we're ready to just really step into our sovereignty, step into our divineness. So as you sit up tall and you're already aware of this beautiful light body, it's almost vulnerable and naked right now without the cloak. Let's sit up tall and open our crown and go source the sun, rising in the east, and let's feed our beautiful divine beings with the light. So drawing a beam of its beautiful light from the center of the sun to the crown of your head, and just feeding the already existing light cells in the left and right hemisphere of the brain, and the pineal, and the backs of the eyes, through the ears. Just acknowledging your beautiful mind that's awake and able to see yourself so clearly, to be honest with yourself, to be authentic, to see your judgments, to acknowledge them, to know that you don't have to be stuck in them. And let that light pour down your throat like a waterfall. Just feel it awaking you to speaking the truth, to saying what's true for you, having faith and trust that it's okay to hold your point of view. It's okay. Maybe in this world that we're in right now, everyone won't accept it, but it's okay. When it's coming from love, coming from your own divine spirit, it's okay. And feel the blue light of consciousness coming in through the back of the neck. Let it vape up into your headspace. Let it really move through the throat, through the waterfall, and down into the lungs. Breathe in. Fill yourself up with just beautiful white light consciousness, knowing that our whole system, our whole body system, in and around our breath and our central nervous system is here to calm us, to quiet us, so that we can trust what we feel, we can trust what we know. We can ground and breathe this beautiful body into a place where it feels strong. And we can let that white light travel down the aorta and into the center of the heart, and just let it warm us from the inside out, from the heart center, so that we come from love and kindness and the ability to see another person as a fellow human being. There's no putting them above us, and there's no putting them below us. We're all on the same playing field. We're all playing together. And so we see them as we see ourselves, with love, with light, with their struggles, with our struggles. We bow to them as we bow to ourselves. We're all in this together. And we let that come down into that beautiful, that white light, into that solar plexus where we are burning brightly all the time with our eternal flame. And just sit up tall, backbone in, heart up. Let that flame be there. Turn it up as much as you need. If you're needing some protection, make this flame as big as you, with a beautiful indigo purple hue around it, keeping you in your divine graces today, protected. This is where we get our courage to maybe stand up for what is important, to use our voices and to speak to what needs to be said, first for ourselves, but then maybe possibly for the greater public. This works for me, this doesn't work for me. To really acknowledge your fears here. This is where we get into fearlessness, but you first have to acknowledge you have fears. Fears in and of themselves, for ourselves, are judgments to ourselves. But our body is naturally attuned to giving us information. Warning, warning, warning. And we look at that without judgment, love. We go, what am I being warned about? What's important that I need to know here, so I can make the right movement that serves myself and the greater good? And we trust what comes through. We breathe into this beautiful flame of existence that's here to give us the courage, but also to protect us. And then we let that beautiful light travel into the room in which we're sitting, so we feel like we've got light everywhere, around us, above us, below us, all sides. And then let the light travel into our bellies, into our waterways, into our creation energy, stirring at the belly, stirring our sense of living in the flow, living so naturally in our own divineness, being led spontaneously through life, recognizing all the symbols around us, all the cues, just being guided by this beautiful white light to do exactly what's needed in the realms of our relationship with ourselves and the divine. We let that flow through our whole body, so our body is so aware. Our arms, our legs, our organs, our brain, this white light traveling through the blood flow, so we're uber aware. We're just really, we know what's going on around us. We can see from the back body to the front body. We can feel into things. and acquire information that's useful to guide us, to move us. And then we'll let that light, that beautiful bright light, travel into the base where we're sitting. We can create our own white light gold platform in which to sit on, which can keep us feeling secure and grounded and connected to the earth as our roots go down into the earth, into the soil. And now we just breathe into this beautiful light being that we are. And we just begin to feel the vibration of our light body. And we feel the light at the core of our being, and we expand it through our bodies. So we feel it from center as we inhale. Let it expand through the body. Breathe it in. And now let it expand beyond your body, maybe beyond your flame, just creating a nice auric field. And we take our original judgment and we begin that reframe in the sense that we're just going to sit quietly within the central channel and really feel the reframe. If we go back to the original beings or individual we were struggling with, where we were defaulting to judgment, and then see them with your heart, with love. You maybe have already walked around them and away from them, that's okay. But we want to make sure that that judgment that we were holding can be reframed into something that might help us in the future when we come upon this again. And say out loud, if you will, just something that will support you, maybe not defaulting directly towards judgment, but giving you information and knowledge about what's before you in a loving, kind way. They know not what they do. Keep me in my good graces. Or whatever comes for you. Feel it throughout your body and your vibration. And then you can just sit quietly and just be for a few moments here. Bring yourself into your body and your breath. Be present. Acknowledge that judgments guide us, they give us information. So that we can see things through the lens which most supports our vibrational body. We'll never be without judgment. But we'll acknowledge through our awareness whether it is supporting us or not. Are we suffering because of it? Or are we utilizing it in its simple form for information, for guidance? Let's bring our hands to our hearts. Backbone in, heart up, shoulders soft. Let your shoulders drop as you just take a deep breath in and just acknowledge your heart for being really open today. So with compassion, you can see yourself, your judgments, and with compassion, you can see others. And note that we're all in this together. We're all making our way the best we can. And with that, we'll do 3 shamas. Let your breath out. Draw breath in. Shama. Deep breath in. Shama. Deep breath in. Shama. Raise your hands above your head. May you know peace in the spirit world. Bring your hands to your forehead. May you know peace deep within the recesses of your mind. And bring yourself to your heart. May you know peace deep within the heart. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. It's so interesting. I want to acknowledge something before we finish here. I got transported in my judgment to something that came from the Bible, which, I grew up Catholic, but I honestly never read the whole Bible or anything of the sort. And it was interesting because I realized, Jesus was holding a judgment on the cross when he said, "They know not what they do." That's a judgment in and of itself. I think that's how I feel it and saw it. And we might not know what we're doing. We might all not know what we're doing. So I was surprised when that came through, because I did feel like it was somewhat of a judgment. But at the same time, we're all taking deep breaths in the world that we live in right now. And returning back to the self, returning back to the love in your heart is always a really good place to come from as we move forward in the world. So anyhow, blessings for a beautiful day, you guys. Judgment's tricky. It hits us from all different places. So thank you for being here. I would say continue to just watch your minds today and see what judgments still arise, because we have lots of them. We formulated our lives around this, and it's okay. It's okay. First thing is accepting judgment, and the next phase is noticing which ones serve us and which ones don't. Okay, so thanks everybody. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.